So how exactly did Bucky get his arm back? And where on earth is Fisk? These are just two of the many baffling issues in Thunderbolts that are hard to ignore. Spoiler alert ahead. In Captain America, Brave New World, we see the unexpected return of the popular Bucky Barnes in a brief cameo. During a conversation with Sam Wilson, we learn that Bucky is now running for Congress. A revelation that left Marvel fans collectively confused. Sam himself is also stunned in the scene, questioning why Bucky would want to enter the world of politics. Apparently, this serves the storyline in Thunderbolts. Bucky must be a congressman in order to be seen working behind the scenes to dismantle Valentina's shady dealings with the Ox Group. Ultimately, he breaks away and joins the Thunderbolts to take her down. Nevertheless, this sudden interest in politics seems rather implausible. Unless it was all part of a long-term strategy to bring Valentina to justice from the inside. And let's not forget, this all hinges on people voting a known ex-assassin into office. He spent decades working as the Winter Soldier, carrying out the assassination of numerous high-profile targets. Admittedly, his actions were the result of mind control, and he has supposedly recovered now. However, realistically, his political rivals would probably bombard the media with attack ads, constantly reminding voters of his past. If he could be brainwashed into becoming a Russian operative once, what's to stop it happening again? Nevertheless, his status as a Second World War veteran might earn him some respect from the older generation, and let's not forget that he did help fight Thanos' army. Given how bizarre modern politics already are, perhaps it's not so far-fetched for people to elect a rehabilitated assassin as their representative. As for the least shocking death in film history, Taskmaster's fate fits the bill. Largely absent from the Thunderbolts trailers and barely featured in promotional material, she is killed off rather unceremoniously early in the film. After delivering a single line and engaging in a brief fight, Ghost shoots her in the head. It's a sudden and brutal exit. The death of a popular villain like Taskmaster is just one aspect of a broader issue. While it does reinforce the idea that any Thunderbolt is expendable and emphasizes how a person can endure a life full of suffering without ever being offered a shot at redemption, the real problem lies in how Ghost reacts, or rather, doesn't. However, the real problem lies in how Ghost reacts, or rather, doesn't. She kills Taskmaster without any emotional response or remorse. Moments after the killing, the group discovers that Valentina has betrayed them. She orchestrated their arrival at the vault in order to incinerate them all. If Ghost had hesitated for even a few moments, Taskmaster could have played a more significant role in the story. Instead, her death is glossed over, receiving only a brief mention in a passing exchange between Ghost and Yelena before the narrative quickly moves on. If Ghost had displayed genuine emotional turmoil or guilt, this could have enriched the film's central theme of redemption, suggesting that no one is beyond redemption. Taskmaster is denied any opportunity for growth or a second chance, rendering her death unnecessary and deeply tragic, yet the film treats it as a mere footnote. Ultimately, it's a wasted opportunity that robs the story of emotional weight and leaves the audience with a loss that barely registers. Regrettably, Bucky Barnes returns to action in Thunderbolts, once again sporting his iconic vibranium arm crafted by the Wakandans. However, fans may recall that this very arm was seemingly taken from him in the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special, when Nebula gave it to Rocket as a gift related to his wish in Avengers: Infinity War. Given that, one would expect Bucky to be without his arm now. Yet in both Thunderbolts and Captain America: Brave New World, Bucky appears with the arm intact. There are a few plausible explanations for this continuity glitch. Perhaps Rocket and Nebula felt guilty and returned the arm to Earth after realizing that robbing someone of their limb was unethical. Alternatively, Wakanda may have produced multiple versions of the vibranium arm for Bucky. Then again, there's a wilder theory. Maybe Nebula never actually took the real arm. Since vibranium has extraterrestrial origins and arrived in Wakanda via a meteor, it's possible that Nebula sourced some from elsewhere and made a replica. In this scenario, Rocket would be displaying a collector's edition of Bucky's prosthetic arm. That said, this might be overthinking things. It's possible that the holiday special isn't meant to be part of the core Marvel Cinematic Universe canon, in which case the idea that Bucky's arm was ever taken could simply be disregarded. Living in the MCU must be tough for everyday civilians. One day, half the planet vanishes. The next, an unknown villain starts casting people into shadows. What would seem earth-shattering to us might barely register to them. After their confrontation with Valentina and Sentry, the Thunderbolts gather outside the watchtower, still in costume. As they stand and chat on the pavement, you can see pedestrians stroll past casually, paying little attention to the extraordinary individuals nearby. While Elena may not be as iconic as Thor, Bucky Barnes is a recognizable figure. He's even a congressman. To the average New Yorker, they might just look like well-dressed cosplayers, and nobody seems particularly alarmed by their presence near the old Avengers Tower. If we were truly in the MCU, seeing such figures loitering would immediately raise the suspicion that danger was near. It would probably be wise to flee before the Void starts unleashing chaos. Understanding how the timelines of Marvel films and Disney Plus shows connect is no easy task. The final act of Thunderbolts takes place in New York, a city now controlled by Wilson Fisk, the newly appointed mayor in Daredevil, Born Again. By the end of Season 1, his crackdown on vigilantes had practically turned the city into a battleground. Therefore, the idea that an entity as destructive as the Void could take over the city, even briefly, without issue seems inconsistent with Fisk's regime. Given that Thunderbolts takes place after Captain America, Brave New World, which is set in early 2027, it is likely that Thunderbolts occurs later that same year. Meanwhile, in Daredevil, Born Again spans 2026 to 2027. However, despite his vested interest in controlling vigilante activity, especially those operating under government orders, Fisk is never mentioned in Thunderbolts. Technically, they wouldn't even be vigilantes. Sadly, Vincent D'Onofrio, who plays Fisk, hinted on the Happy Sad Confused podcast that his portrayal may be restricted to TV due to licensing issues. This could explain why not even a background poster of Fisk could be included. As far as general audiences are concerned, superheroes are still welcome in NYC. The Thunderbolts don't exactly have a team full of powerful members, which raises the question: how are they supposed to deal with Sentry, or worse, the Void? Resorting to brute force clearly won't suffice. So, when the Void begins engulfing the city in darkness, Yelena makes a drastic leap of faith by literally walking into the shadows. Up to this point, we have seen the Void turn people into shadow figures, which suggests that they could be dead. Therefore, Yelena's decision to walk into the darkness could easily have meant her death. Instead, she confronts haunting memories and eventually reaches Bob. One by one, the rest of the Thunderbolts follow, helping Bob to push through his despair and reminding him that he is not alone. Together, they suppress the Void, lifting the darkness from the city and restoring the shadowed victims. Bob doesn't remember anything, but the rest of the team does. It's implied that those trapped inside the Void relived their worst traumas. No sooner has this near-apocalyptic event ended than Valentina drags the Thunderbolts onto a stage and unveils them to the press as the new Avengers. But how did the media get there so quickly? Were they not swallowed up by the Void too? It's strange how everything snaps back to normal so quickly, as if nothing had happened. Then again, this kind of reset is par for the course in the MCU. People vanished for 5 years during the blip and returned with minimal fuss. People vanished for 5 years during the blip and returned with minimal fuss. By comparison, being trapped in a shadow realm for an hour seems like a minor inconvenience. Set over a year later, the post-credit scene reveals that the new Avengers are still active, but that Sam Wilson is working on forming his own independent Avengers team. He has even filed a copyright claim against Valentina's version. Interestingly, Elena suggests that Sam has not yet assembled his squad, despite having had over a year since the events of Brave New World. Perhaps it's not easy to rally heroes. Doctor Strange might be lost in the multiverse, and Captain Marvel is probably still off-world. However, there are still potential recruits: Hulk, She-Hulk, Thor, Shang-Chi, Moon Knight and more. Hopefully Sam will get moving soon. The post-credits scene doesn't stop there. Elena mentions a cosmic disturbance, and the footage shows a spaceship entering their reality. On its side is the number 4, followed by the Fantastic Four. The First Steps theme music hints at what's next. It's a fitting teaser, especially as First Steps is due to hit cinemas on July 25th. However, this reveal may have spoiled the ending. Set in an alternate dimension, First Steps sees the Silver Surfer announce the planet's impending destruction by Galactus. The Fantastic Four attempt to stop it, but what if they fail? It now seems that they might escape to the main MCU timeline after losing their home, potentially setting the stage for their redemption through battle with Doom. As for the title Thunderbolts, fans had speculated about the strange, cosmic-themed marketing campaign. It turns out that this was all a misdirection. They are not truly the Thunderbolts, but rather Marvel's next iteration of the Avengers. While it's a fun twist, one can't help but wonder if Marvel should have just called it the New Avengers from the outset. That branding could have helped the film financially. Pre-release tracking suggested a modest opening of $70 to $75 million. A far cry from the $100 million plus highs that MCU films once guaranteed. For example, The Avengers 2012 debuted with over $200 million and ended with $1.5 billion worldwide. All previous Avengers films have grossed over $1 billion. As Thunderbolts is the first Avengers film since Endgame, it had massive potential. Calling it the New Avengers might have attracted more interest. Nevertheless, positive word of mouth could still help it to thrive, especially given the lack of competition until Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning is released in late May. While Marvel's secrecy about the film's true nature was admirable, it may have cost them box office momentum.